Hi there. My name's Ron Fore. I'm here to make the Paycheck Protection Program more digestible, help you guys understand the in and outs better. And I am a commercial loan officer here at High Country Bank. So let's dive right in. So first things first, let's talk about what High Country Bank has done and what kind of gives me the right to talk to you guys about it today. As you can see on the slide here, for the first round, we've done 352 total loans for over $15 million. And only 5 of those are currently waiting forgiveness from the SBA. And that's, the SBA's side of things. That's not because we haven't submitted it. Otherwise, they've all been forgiven fully, which is important. And, it's all based on what you guys as clients and borrowers can provide to us. Additionally, they repealed the EIDL advances. This isn't so relevant anymore, but originally the EIDL advances had to be repaid by the borrower. At this time, we've collected and refunded the borrowers all the funds for that. So far through this round, we've done 153 loans completed for over $8.6 million. The restrictions are a little different this go around, so we'll cover that as we get deeper into the presentation. And the only loans that are pending with us are awaiting, the imminent SBA changes. We have no backlog. If you've given us the application, we've processed it. And most importantly, kind of everything, we're ready to eat. We're ready and eager to assist you guys. We want to help out as much as possible. We really love this community and we want to show that. So let us help you if we can. First things first. Let's talk about the eligibility and obtaining the PPP loan. Basically, if you are a business, nonprofit, veteran organization, sole proprietor, independent contractor, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, any of those things with less than 500 employees, you qualify for the first round, or for the first draw is what they're calling it now. And you qualify for the second draw if you have less than 300 employees, and you had a 25% reduction in gross sales when comparing corresponding quarters. For example, that'd be comparing Q2 of 2020 to Q2 of 2019. You can't compare Q4 of 2020 to Q1 of 2019. You guys, clients, borrowers, will fill out the first or second draw application, depending on whether or not you received funding the first go around. This is a loan with the financial institution of your choice that's fully guaranteed by the SBA and is intended to be 100% forgivable as long as you use the funds per their stipulations, which are pretty fair. So now let's dive into those appropriate uses. 60% of the proceeds must go to payroll expenses. That's the idea behind the entire program. Is that even though your business has been affected greatly, this is intended to help you keep employees, with your business. So 60% of the proceeds go to that. If you're a sole proprietor, same kind of concept. 60% of the proceeds have to go to paying yourself, and then the rest can be used for the information listed below. 60% is the bottom line, and you can use it 100% for payroll if you so choose. And the remaining expenses are mortgage interest, rent, utilities, things of that sort. Most importantly, operating expenses was a big change this round. So you, on your day-to-day operations, can utilize 40% of the funds for that, which is very helpful. The idea is that you keep the same number of employees. Obviously, that has proved challenging. But if you can document that you tried to keep your employees in good faith, you still had less employees, that's okay. That doesn't disqualify you from eligibility. Your entity had to have been formed by February 15th of 2020, which is essentially when everything started shutting down for the first time. You have an I apologize, it's 8 or 24 week window, not 8 through 24 weeks. And basically, 2 to 6 months to utilize these proceeds. And also importantly, the deadline for this round is March 31st of 2021. Obviously, that's subject to change, but as we operate today, that is the deadline for applications. Now, what you have to provide to the bank, you will submit either the first or second draw application to the bank, along with your payroll documentation, and that is how we kind of determine your loan amount and what we can do for you guys. So it is a loan, and that's important. However, it's designed to be not repaid by the client or the borrower. There are terms that we have to put on our, business loan agreements and things of that sort. Your term will be a 1% interest, or your term will be 5 years. Your interest rate will be 1%. The borrower will not pay any fees. The borrower will not have to pledge any collateral. And, ideally, you will never make a payment on the loan. We will reach out with forgiveness forms once they have been released, and you will not be required to make a payment at all until your forgiveness is processed by the SBA. Now, assuming we get to the point where we don't get a forgiveness application from any of our clients, the payments are then deferred for 10 months from the end of the covered period, and that would be 6 months. So you would have the 10-month deferral after the first 6 months to utilize the funds. And then at that point, if there is no forgiveness application submitted, your payments do start. So you have a long window to begin submitting forgiveness, and we'll be assisting and guiding you guys through that. But that would be the eventual case if nothing were to transpire. And partial forgiveness is also a possibility. So if you were unable to utilize all of the funds or something along those lines, maybe 50% of it went to payroll, we can apply for partial forgiveness, and then you would have a smaller amount to repay. But the idea is that it is 100% forgivable if the guidelines are followed. So there are some first and second draw application similarities and some differences, and that'll be the next slide. But the first similarity is that we'll need to collect your annual payroll figures for 19 or 20 to verify your loan amount. And typically, this is either your Schedule C, your Schedule F off of your personal taxes, or the W-3 or the 940 for the entities out there. And this will give us your total payroll figure, and then we can calculate it from there. Back to the covered period, they offer the same time frames, 8 weeks versus 24 weeks. Some people can utilize it all for payroll in 2 months based on what they get, and some take 6 months. Everybody gets the choice of how long they get to take, so there's that. Obviously, you can't be presently incarcerated, subject to indictment or arraignment, or any other means of criminal charge. You can't be convicted of, fraud, bribery, or embezzlement. Those seem pretty straightforward. The formula to calculate the loan is we take your average monthly payroll, we multiply that by 2.5, and that equals your eligible loan amount. Now, this differs for Schedule C's, S, W-3s, and 940s. On the W-3, it's pretty simple, and the 940s, because it has your total payroll number right there listed at the very top of the tax form. On Schedule F's, the SBA has approved that we can use the gross income figure off of your Schedule F, divide that by 12 to get your average monthly payroll, and multiply that by 2.5 to get to your eligible loan amount. They are talking about implementing the same change for our Schedule C employees or businesses, but they have not finalized that yet. So as of today, we are still using the Schedule C line 31 net income to calculate the average monthly payroll. And finally, employees, our owners, are capped at $100,000 when calculating the average monthly payroll. So if I were to make $105,000, I would have to reduce that to $100,000 in order to calculate my average monthly payroll. That obviously gets a little sticky, but if you have any questions or concerns, we are able to help you kind of decipher how we back that number down to get you to your correct average monthly payroll. So let's dive right on into the differences here. The main one is you have to have received the first draw and utilize the first draw. The second is that if you are in an accommodation or food service industry and you have a NAICS code that starts with 7.2, rather than using the 2.5 from this formula, we are able to use 3.5. And the theory behind that is that those are the two industries that were the most affected and therefore require the most help when it comes to the PPP program. They have different applications. We require different supporting docs. Obviously, we will have to verify your reduction in gross revenues. I'm sorry, that should not say payroll reduction. It should say gross revenues. And different maximum loan amounts. For the first draw, people were eligible for $10 million, and that's a lot of why the funds went very quickly the first go around. The SBA has done a good job in making sure these funds get spread out to the people that need it. So second draws only are eligible for $2 million total dollars. Now then, when it comes to forgiveness, our initial forgiveness guidance for the second round is very similar to the first round. Obviously, it's subject to change, and a new form is coming March 5th. We have a different levels and forms for different loan amounts that may change. I have it listed below that loans below 150 had one application, 150,000 had one application, and loans above had a separate one. I believe that will stay the same, but they will have an updated form coming out that will give us more information on that. So I have a formula here for you guys as well that your forgiveness application plus your additional supporting documents on forgiveness equals getting your loan forgiven. Our supporting documents will be your internal payroll records for the 2 months or 6 months that you utilize the loan proceeds. As long as that number equals 60%, then you've checked off the first box. And then we'll have to document the rest of the utilization of the funds. So if you use 40% on operational expenditures, I will need some sort of internal documentation of that. And if that adds up to what your PPP loan amount was on your forgiveness application, then I submit all of that to the SBA and they get back to us and approve your forgiveness. Obviously, there's a delayed period there between when they get it and when they get it back to us. So now, as of today, there were some changes implemented by the SBA that affect the people that can apply. And I have included a link here to kind of go over what those are. But at 7 a.m. today, the SBA established a 14-day stay period for businesses and nonprofits with 20 or less employees are the only people that can apply. So if you have 21 employees, you've got a 2-week waiting period before you're actually eligible to be submitted into their system again. But if you have 20 or less, I can still submit you and accept it, and they will accept it. They did mention that even if you try to put them in the queue in the system, that they aren't going to be approving any of them. They're not even going to be looking at them for the next 2 weeks. So that will affect some of you guys, but the good news is there's still quite a bit of funds remaining. I don't necessarily see them canceling or shutting it down anytime soon. So after the March 31st deadline, that is. They are potentially revising the formula for our Schedule C folks. They have removed the restrictions that potential borrowers who have been delinquent on student loans were ineligible, and now they are eligible. So if you have a delinquent student loan debt and were ineligible for the first round, there's a very good chance you will be eligible this go around. And then if you've been convicted of a felony that's non-fraud related, you were ineligible the first time, but you are eligible this time. This also included ensuring access to non-citizen business owners who are lawful U.S. residents, so that you can utilize their I-10. Before they were kicking applications out because we were submitting them with their I-10, your individual taxpayer identification number, but now that will no longer happen. And upon further guidance, all of the financial institutions and banks that you guys work with will start to implement the changes outlined for your loan requests. Here are some useful links for you guys to get you to the first draw application form, the second draw application form, to help you with your forgiveness information, and also a link to our commercial loan team here at High Country Bank. I'll stay here for a second so that you guys can take a look at it and access it if you need to. And then here's some more contact information for us here at High Country Bank. I've got all of our Salida folks on the left, and then Buena Vista, Canyon City, and Longmont on the right. And again, I will hold here for a second so that people can pause and look at it if they'd like. Okay, and that's all I've got. If you guys have any questions, concerns, anything like that, feel free to reach out to us here at High Country Bank. We're happy and ready to help. We've been doing it now for both rounds, and we've got quite a few loans closed and processed, and we're happy and willing to help our community. So please reach out to us. Thank you for your time today.